Consumer Electronics Show 2023, Las Vegas. I was going to ask you a bit of a summary of like what you see, but it's like, where do you start with this whole thing?
Where do you start? It's the most overwhelming show ever, just because there's so many things happening all at once. Look, all I can do is compare it with last year. So probably from the health and fitness point of view, which is what we really primarily reporting on. Last year there was a fitness corner, so there was a lot of the connected fitness brands. There was Climber and Hydro and Vitruvian and Echelon, those sorts of brands. This year the fitness is spread more throughout all the conventions and the hotels, so we're a little bit more dispersed. We're also a very small part of the conversation here. I would definitely say that health's really taken a step up. AI is kind of everywhere. We're sort of seeing it in everything from content generation to sort of sitting in the back end of everything now. So I would say that, yeah, just as a general feeling, but it's definitely got a vibe, lots of new things.
I was quite surprised with how the technology is advanced in terms of the sensors and the cameras and what health information that you can get now. Like, we've just come back from an interview where they can look at my cholesterol, my heart rate, stress levels, a lot of amazing information really, even what is it called, glucose levels from your skin. And when you said earlier about the traditional fitness space, it kind of seems as though now the technology in terms of understanding or analyzing or understanding or assessing where you are seems to now be where a lot of people are entering in their sort of health wellness journey. And then as a result of that, they're then prescribing them what to eat, how to train. We came from some automated supplement company where they were sort of prescribing vitamins and things like that, what to eat. So I think it's definitely, for me, things seem to be turned on its head. Very fragmented, a lot of these small sensor companies and analytics, but I'll be curious to see how that all plays out and comes together really. And some of the stuff that you feel or you think is so far in the future, and even last year and the year before, you think, well, that's not going to happen. A lot of this actually is really happening now. A lot of these companies have got products that you can actually buy, use, subscribe to. It's quite scary at the rapid pace of change, isn't it?
Yes, and I think the level of the apps, like your example before, where you basically did a selfie to measure you're healthy, you could do that through the app, and they have got every kind of regulatory organisation behind them, and it's all been tested out in at least 11 clinical trials. So this is really interesting. But I'd really say, taking away from this, one of the biggest conversations is health, mental health, full health, biometrics, how you live out your best life. That's definitely taken a lift up.
So listen to the full interviews. We got had some pretty cool conversations and highlighting some interesting products, and hope you enjoy the episode.
Enjoy. Well, look, we are in the presence of greatness today.
Oh,
it
yes.
is wonderful. We've been following you our whole career. Matt's wife's got a girl crush on you. Like, we're all.
She's got excellent taste.
She does have excellent
I mean,
taste.
come on.
And we've also got Steve joining us as well. So Jillian Michaels and Steve, and you've got a wonderful product launch. And we wanted to start it off with, you've been such an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Why this relationship? And a bit about your history. Why are you here? What's brought you to this relationship? And you're saying how energized you are by it.
Okay. The obvious being the tech. I've used this kind of tech since it first came out. I mean, way back on Biggest Loser, I was saying, okay, I need this many steps, I need your calorie burn to be this before you go to bed. And it never failed me. Never. I mean, you saw the results week after week after week, and I could calculate their weight loss down to the pound. There were a few water fluctuations, but electrolyte imbalances that we got a hold of a little later on. But I mean, the data is so solid, so it just became a staple in my toolbox. As time went on, devices weren't super attractive. Okay, fine, they work great, right? Whatever. And they got more expensive, and these things stopped becoming accessible. So I'd say okay, do you have a fitness tracker? Do you have a smartwatch? Oh, they're $500 or $600 or $700. And you start to realize that you're breathing rarefied air now to use these things. So one day I come across iTOUCH, and I'm like, man, that's sick. Because I'm looking at the aesthetic of it. And I'm like, what is that? And because I'm looking at the tracker, and I'm looking at the smartwatch, iTOUCH wearables. And so I start looking at the features. And the features are all comparable. It's like, oh, my wife's on Android, I'm on Apple.
How's that working out?
It's a little annoying, by the way.
Yeah.
The green text pissed me
It does.
off.
Ah, gotta go blue.
We're on WhatsApp
gotta
now.
do it.
We're doing it via WhatsApp. Is how we're
Nice
coexisting.
compromise.
Yeah, but iTOUCH has helped because we can at least have the same devices in the house. So, nevertheless, works on both platforms, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, all right, how much is that thing? I'm like, leather strap, like, is this
Yeah,
gonna
let's
be-
have a look at this, because
Yeah.
this is like,
I mean, how
look
sick
at
is
this,
that,
look
right?
at this. I mean,
Like, it's like,
That's
looks like it's
bomb.
Hermes. I mean, it's sick. So I was like, all right, is it gonna be like the expensive device on crack? Because I'm thinking like this customization and this aesthetic is like, yeah, it does all the stuff they do, but look at ours. You know, I'm thinking it's gonna be a fortune. Anyway, it's like $85 to $115. So I call my business partner. I'm like, get me one of these devices. I want to see if this works. So he gets me one. I'm like, this thing is awesome. This is awesome. I'm like, call them back and see if there's any way to work together. So here we are. And obviously you get, a 3-month membership to my app as well with the device. So it's like you got the content, you've got all the tracking, smartwatch stuff, whatever you want, totally customizable, best quality, like aesthetic, design, materials. Like, why wouldn't I be? And that's really what I've always been about, is how do you make the tools and the education accessible and affordable? And that's what these guys are all about.
well, that's great. So tap us into the features. Take us tech. This is your role in this
So
conversation.
we'll go tech. So to start off with the point, we love working with Jillian because she gets it. Exactly what she said. It's all about accessibility. So our tagline, really, our mantra is comparable features, extreme value. We want to be accessible because we know that so many consumers out there don't have access to that rarefied air.
And those
that
are the
you spoke
ones
to.
that need it
and
the
those are
most.
the ones that need it.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to have something that can be for everyone and be very, very inclusive. So what we did is we did a tremendous amount of research, really looking through the lens of the consumer. The fortunate part is so many of us within the organization have a retail background, have a wholesale background, and our company, American Exchange Group, has other product categories, from footwear to handbags to accessories. So we were in the space of price-conscious consumers. And so by understanding what matters to them and what is the most used features that really can make a difference, so we created a curated assortment of features that make sense to keep the price as affordable as possible. So in terms of lifestyle, notifications is out of the gate. So you'll get your text notifications, you'll get your email notifications, your social media notifications, right out of the gate. And when it gets to health and wellness, this all started years back with counting your steps. So the pedometer is a must-have. So you have to have the pedometer on there. So you have to get for that, whether it's 10,000 steps or 15,000 steps or whatever goal you set forth for your journey.
15,000 steps.
This is going to be what
What are you doing,
I got
Steve?
14,000 yesterday.
Jeez,
Just
man.
walking the show.
The show,
Wow,
yeah.
I can't even call him a liar because I know the tech is
Yeah.
accurate.
So that's very, very important. And then as we've developed throughout the years, it includes a heart rate monitor, blood pressure, so those kinds of things are very, very important. And then it's going to be a health and wellness. So there's an app feature that is just for mindfulness, for restfulness. So it just walks you through some breathing exercises to just calm down and take a moment to just enjoy yourself and have your own me time for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is. Because we see that stress is a big factor into health and wellness and weight gain and so on and so forth. So those are some of the key ones, but it also has some cool new fun stuff. One of them is a new feature for this year called Love Tap. And what Love Tap does is if, Jillian has a device, and her wife has a device, if wherever they are in the world, without having to text or message or anything, she just taps the Love Tap and she can just tap it, and her wife will get a heartbeat vibration with a little heart on it that lets her know she's thinking about me without having to do anything. So just really cool.
How does that
little
work?
things
Was it like
that.
a text or something?
So it's just a signal that goes device to device through
Right.
the application, through their device,
Right.
and they're Bluetooth connected with connected GPS. So it's like sending a text message, but without having to text anything.
Right.
And it's just for those two devices. So it's a nice little fun thing. So it was about, again, health and wellness, but putting things that are going to be interesting to consumers
Yeah.
and resonate with them without costing a fortune. And so we know, quite frankly, our goal was never to be a competitor to an Apple or a Samsung or a Garmin. but to be a price-conscious alternative for that demographic that either didn't have it in their budget or simply couldn't justify the price point because they weren't sure how wearables was going to fit into their lifestyle. Maybe they wanted to try it out and, wow, that's a big check to write to get in the door if I'm not even sure if I'm going to use it. $300, $400, $500. So
yeah,
that was a big
They don't
goal.
have that kind of expensive money, man.
No, especially
not now.
Right.
Especially not now. Yeah.
You mentioned that people getting experience about how wearables fit into their lifestyle. I was curious from your perspective. You've been around before wearables, not long, but a little while before wearables.
Unfortunately, quite long actually. I got into the business when I was 17, so yeah, a long time.
And been into fitness and worked out for a long time. I'm sitting in a similar position, been working out for quite a while, and when I started to get into wearables, it really had a huge impact on me, and it influenced a lot of my behaviors. And I was really curious in terms of your experience when you first came into contact with them and how that changed before and after from that experience.
The truth of the matter with me is I am a walking wearable.
Yeah.
So I know where my heart rate is. I know how to find it in 6 seconds. I know how to do my HIIT training. I know how many calories I'm eating all the time because I eat the same 28 things, same 5 things. Like, I know all of it. I really do. Like, I know where my heart, I know all of it. The thing is, I am me, and I am, not to sound like a jerk, but there's only one of me, and a handful of other people that I think are as good as me in guiding people to train effectively, to get in the best shape possible. They need the tools. So to me, this is more like a portable me, and I use it as such when working with people.
This is your digital twin.
Kind of. I more think of it like that. It's been a professional, like, godsend for me. So even like my phone, with my friend's dad, who I've just been helping, because I obviously don't have time to personally train, but I can guide people online. I can create challenges online. I can guide my whole app community using these devices. Like, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna hit that, and I wanna see this, and I need to make sure you hit that. Or people come to me with, I don't understand, and why am I not losing weight? I'm like, oh, let me see your, I can see exactly where they are. Like, when I tell you, I mean, this is what I get all day long. Look, here's my blood pressure, here's my pulse, this is my oxygen, this is my sugar. Where do you think, I'm not there, the guy's in New Jersey. How do you think I'm doing it? So as a trainer who misses the days of personal training, but can use it on a broad scale and tell people where they need, what this needs to say, or just to help friends and family, it's kind of like an extension of me. That's how I see it.
And that goes on to my second question then. Nowadays, I think there's a lot of information. Trackers are sending you messages about this is what's happening with your sleep. There's so much information, and unless you're an expert, it almost becomes irrelevant. It's just loads of numbers coming at you. I understand in this product here, it combines with some of the content that you've got, and I was curious to see, is there a relationship between what's happening on the watch and what you're actually providing within your app?
They sync up. So you can pick, like, one of them has 28 activities that are signature that I selected that syncs directly with the app. The other one has over 100. But it syncs up with the activity level, the calories burned, because my app tracks and they communicate together, and then the content works with the tracker. So, because we've always had the ability to sync up with different things, this happens to come with my content for 3 months. But you don't have to just, it works with everything. It doesn't have to be just my content. But it just allows you to basically hit workouts, for example. Should I do, like a 1-in-1 ratio, a 1-2 ratio, a 2-1 ratio, like 2 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, 2 off, 1 on. They don't know where to be. They don't know where their heart rate should be before it allows you to say, okay, here's where you're gonna be. You're gonna be at this percentage of your heart rate, which is gonna be this number. You don't have to stop and be like, hold that, 1, 2, wait, where am I? I mean, I can do that in my sleep, and so can you. Count the beats for 6 seconds, multiply by 10, okay, I'm at 115, all right, I gotta go harder. It's not high enough. They don't know where they are. Sometimes they're going too hard, they're not recovering long enough. So it's just, it works with all of it. The HIIT workout, because we have audio-only cardio workouts. We have in-the-gym equipment workouts. We have on-demand workouts. It works with all of them. But it works impeccably because when I'm telling you I want your heart rate at 85, this is how you figure, it's like, oh, perfect. I'm where I need to be. Like I said, it's, as a trainer, like an actual trainer, it's just such an invaluable tool. It puts a trainer in your pocket, and if you don't know what it's supposed to say, go to my social media, it's free. I'll tell you what it's supposed to say.
Right.
A host of other people will tell you on social media, on YouTube, oh, this is what you should focus on. Your activity, your calories burned, your steps. Like, I also think of using these devices much like I think of fitness. I believe in biomechanics first, good fundamentals. We don't need to be going nuts and loading up shitty fundamentals, right? Bad biomechanics and waiting a squat with a butt wink form that's tragic. Like, no, let's get it. Let's get the basics down solid. So let's learn how to use the most important features when it comes to health and wellness. The pedometer, the heart rate monitor, blood pressure is actually kind of important. A lot of the doctors are going to want you to use it, but let's put that one like on tier 2. Using those 3 features can be game changing. Then the rest is like just a fun discovery. Once you use that stuff in your sleep, then you can get into checking your sleep and taking it out on a run and having all of the other stuff that's available to you. But I think those 3 things are a game changer, and you get them at an amazing price on any device with a cool aesthetic. People are either wearing, it's either this or a Rolex. I don't see anything in between.
I love it.
I don't have the money for a Rolex. I mean,
oh, I love it.
Maybe, but I don't. You know, I'm not going to spend
it. She does. She does.
Maybe, but I'm not going to spend it. And I think most people don't.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
it's just this is where it's at.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow, a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged, and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a 2-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
Yeah. So we're at CES. This is your first year here.
First year exhibiting, yes.
Exhibiting, but the brand has been going since 2015, correct? So given, and there's a shift in, we've seen connected fitness come and go, we've seen personal trainers, we've had a pandemic, all of these things, people are more stressed, less money. What do you see happening over the next 2 or 3 years perhaps in the product? Where are you innovating? And then maybe a question for you just in programming. We know that HIIT's been powerful for the last 4 or 5 years. We know that strength's coming in even stronger. There's definitely outdoors, hiking, all of that stuff. So perhaps some commentary on both of you. Where will we be, do you think, in 3 years? Or what are you building towards?
I think you're really going to see it continue to be part of people's everyday lives and really pushing them forward to be more active. I think the pandemic really showcased how important health is. When you look, not to go too far down that road, but when you look at people who really struggled with that, it was people who had some kind of underlying condition or were not as active as they should be. And so our goal is to help people, you know, partnering with someone like Jillian to allow people to be the best them that they can be, as corny as that sounds. And so putting things that are about health and wellness, or about activity, about strength training, about exercise, about what they're eating, and also about combining that with their everyday lives with notifications and mindfulness and sleep rest and all of that to really be a tool to kind of guide your day, from calendar notifications to what your heart rate is and everything in between.
And I really like how you seem to be very guided by the market. Like, it's quite an eclectic mix of things that you're bringing forward, which they're asking for, which I think we've talked a lot about integration. People are like going too far on one silly little micro moment, and they're not really looking at the whole thing,
you got to know
whole
what
life.
You have to know what the consumer needs and what they really want, and provide that for them. And we love that. One of the great things that Jillian has mentioned several times is the aesthetic. Coming from a design background and from an accessories product category standpoint, a lot of tech just doesn't look good.
No,
because it's tech.
It's a statement of yourself, isn't it?
Well, because it's being done by engineers and programmers that are not product designers, and they're not as focused on the aesthetic.
Yeah.
We have
Both.
that in our toolbox.
Yeah.
We have experts in that. So it's about combining that to be part of their everyday life. Because people, when you see those ebbs and flows, a lot of people are like, I really want to track my steps, I really want to see my heart rate, I really want to work out, but I'm wearing a suit and I don't want to have this ugly thing on my wrist. Now, I mean, you look at that, you can wear, if you want to just track your steps through the day and the interchangeability of the straps, Jillian can take that when she's doing an interview here or walking around or going to dinner, you know, with a leather double wrap strap, and then she can swap it out for a perforated silicone band if she's going to be hitting the gym hard.
I love it.
So, you know, you really want to be able to provide the consumer with that flexibility.
Yeah, I love it. So you're really listening to the market. And then programming-wise, what are you seeing?
This really depends on the consumer. Because, look, you're always going to have that audience that we need to get off the couch, right? The fundamentals, that we need to help rehab an injury, that we need to get off their diabetes medication, we need to get their blood pressure down. And that's actually a massive part of our demographic. 7 out of 10 Americans are suffering with an obesity-related health condition. So, you know, you're not escaping continuing to get them off the couch, the stand-up desk, you know, the phone conversations as a walk around the block instead of
Sitting
like getting them to stand, getting them to walk, getting them to move, which is yet another reason why I love this device so much, because this guy that I just showed you, my friend's dad, it's been 2 months. I can't get him to get on the phone with me so I can show him like 5 basic strength moves I want to incorporate into his regimen, but he will send me those damn steps every day. He can do it. He finds a way to get it in. So the basics are not going anywhere. I think making those basics easier to accomplish are key. Now, if you're getting into like, all right, fitness fanatics, what do they get into? I would say, let's go to the middle ground. We're seeing far more hybrid approaches, whether it's at home or a spin class or the gym, or you're seeing people just kind of get it where they can find it, and I think that's great. So whether they got used to working out at home, they got excited to go back to the gym, they missed their, you know, their spin class, whatever it might be, I'm seeing people touching on a bunch of different stuff, and I think that's really important. It's like, you just eat sushi all the time? It's not even good for you to do that, right? You want to mix it up so you're not getting repetitive use injuries by doing yoga every day, running every day. So I think that's great. With the more advanced fitness fanatics, this is where I think, you know, things are going to get kind of interesting. And I am a believer in the metaverse. I don't know how long it will take.
Really?
I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that I thought we were coming out with a new headset for Christmas.
Yeah.
But once you're in there and you've gamified fitness in that way, I think what could happen with this is going to be incredible when the right people decide they're going to get behind it in the right way.
Yeah.
So if I'm a bike company and I decide I want to create a metaverse product and I get on my bike, I can
be anywhere.
I can be anywhere.
Yeah.
I can mountain bike and it can simulate that for me. I can do the AIDS ride. I mean, think of the possibilities to gamify it, and even things like Beat Saber and Bar Fight. I mean, I've got my 70-year-old mother-in-law playing Bar Fight. You think you're gonna get her to work out?
Yeah.
No.
No.
But like,
She'll do that.
She'll do that. So I think where we're gonna go is we're gonna start bringing this kind of connectivity into a virtual world. It's not there yet because the headset's clunky and you feel a bit disoriented. So traditional fitness is challenging still while it's in this format, if you will. But gamifying it and then really expanding upon putting people in cool environments and letting them run the Boston Marathon on that treadmill they just bought.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be, I don't think that's far out.
Yeah.
A couple years.
Yeah.
I really think that's gonna change the game.
Yeah. Great. Are you playing in that space now? Are you programming for that?
You know, we've been trying to get into that space, and so many companies are coming and going right now because it's like the Wild West. So you find a studio, they go out of business, and it's like the meta team gets completely wiped out, and it's a whole new staff the next day, and we're just like, oh my God. So, you know, and we're waiting, like, that for sure. They were gonna release that headset that was supposed to be half the size.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what about a suit, gloves? And they're like, oh, that's like 5 years out. I don't think it's 5 years out. I think it's 2 to 3 years out.
There's some interesting stuff around here with the haptics and that now as well, which is suits and things that are pretty advanced.
I mean, once you kind of, like, anybody I've put in one of these games to play like a Beat Saber or even, you know, a Supernatural or whatever, they're in there. Tennis,
It's engaging,
football.
Yeah.
I can play, if my son's in Los Angeles and I'm in Miami, even though it's not crazy active, we can play ping pong for hours. And I'm on my feet, right? I'm moving my arm, I'm not sitting on the couch eating. So, and it's like he's in the room with my...
And you're connected. You're connected.
Yeah,
in a
it's
sense.
pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. So you can like engage with family and friends anywhere in the world. You can get crazy stats. I think that stuff is
Cool.
going to
Good
be
call
special.
out.
I'm
I think it needs
believer.
an architect that we had a conversation earlier, and some of this is that you've got tech people developing it, or you've got fitness people that understand fitness, and it really needs a hybrid of person
Yes, it does.
that can really build the building and bring
Sure
people together,
does.
because otherwise you're going to get this sort of real mess of, you know, you get great ideas, but if you're a fitness person, you think, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
You know it's not going to ever work, and I guess it's thinking about the team somehow.
It's just getting the right people to develop for that platform. So again, like, not to name companies, but if I had treadmills, if I had bikes, if that was what I sold, so yeah, there's connected fitness, that's cool. People can go to the class, that's cool. But being able to jump on a bike and bike any mountain or road bike, the Tour de France, that's awesome. It's a whole different experience. It's just about how they facilitate it, I think, in my opinion. So, with regard to the other shit, it's always something new, dude. And I gotta be honest with you, it's like, this device and this drug and that thing, and I'm like, I literally live off of like 10 exercises, pull-ups, push-ups, lunges, squats, planks, variations of.
Yeah.
Walking, step climbing, biking.
The human body.
We overcomplicate, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very like, sure, whatever but you're not gonna reinvent the wheel. If somebody likes it, excellent.
Just do something,
Yeah.
Just...
Get them to move.
Yeah.
Whatever
Love
it takes to get them to move.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been great to spend some time with you, and
Yes.
maybe next year there'll be some kind of like watch with a VR glasses or something.
Hey, we can always, get on that.
There you go. All right, well, thank you very much.
We can put leather on the
There you
side.
go, leather on the side. Your logo and everything.
Steve, come on. Such a pleasure, you guys.
Thank you.
So, Mo, thank you so much for hosting us. We had a fabulous get-together along with Max, didn't we, with some of the health and fitness fraternity. So thank you for hosting that.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, and tell us about Sweatworks.
Yeah, so we're a product development agency that's purely focused on the wellness category. So we build and design and create hardware and software products for brands. So I think we help brands accelerate their product development lifecycle.
Right, and then that in the context of CES, like how do you view the show? Why are you here and what have you seen this year?
So we come to CES for a couple of reasons. One, we have some brands that are actually here that we've built product for, so we're excited to see them here. One of our brands actually won an award. So we're excited to see them here. We want to support them any way we can.
What is that? Who was it? What did they
That
win?
was Nix Biosensors. They got a CES Best of Tech Innovation Award. They are a sweat sensing wearable. They track your sweat in real time. Very cool company. So we designed the hardware and software behind that product. The other reason we're here is because bleeding edge technologies tends to come out here. Like I remember coming in 2019 and seeing a startup company really future facing, trying to track blood glucose through an Apple Watch, right? I mean, they were 5 years ahead of their time.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to get a pulse on what is coming in 5, 7, 8 years, a lot of those innovators tend to come here. You have to sift through the noise and see what to look for and listen for. So that's one. And I think the other one is new companies that are just launching. A lot of companies use CES as a launch pad for 2023.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to ask an interesting question. So we've seen, and I'm going to use the word deliberately, we've seen a lot of carnage in our industry. So connected fitness, club market, middle market collapsing, etc. It's been very dynamic. A lot of layoffs, not in our industry, but also the tech industry, like
Yes.
big stuff. So there's a lot going on. recession, not a recession, whatever, times are tough. What are you seeing once we move through this period? Like, what is this going to settle to, do you believe?
Yeah, I've always taken a really pragmatic approach. And if you listen to a lot of the major banks and you listen to the CEOs and you ask them what's a recession, the response will tell you is that it's something that happens every 7 to 10 years. It happens, right? And I think you need to recognize where you are in time, in your own company, in your own business, in your product evolution cycle, where the consumer is at, in order to act intelligently, in order to act smartly with your company strategy. So for us, we're looking at this and we're saying it is uncertain. And again, I'll get into the why, but candidly, we see the recession happening now. We see it going into 2023, going into 2024, and really not getting out of it until 2025. And the reason for that is because I don't think we're going to see an economic upturn come up against the middle of 2024. And then typically, if you are companies that we work with, a lot of them are funded by ventures who go fund into a round. It takes about 2 quarters to close a round. So then you're looking at, great, quarter 3, quarter 4, 2024. Then in 2025, the investment money comes in and you start hiring up again and start seeing some of that new innovation come through. So I really think that right now is the time for you to strategize, understand where you are, be realistic about where your consumers are as well, and think about how do you best serve your company and how can you best serve the consumer, knowing that, hey, they might not be able to spend $5,000 on connected fitness at home, right? They might not be able to spend $500 a month in their gym. Maybe they're going to take back, their athletic green supplement for a month. I mean, your consumers are going to be making cuts. They're going to be adjusting as a whole. Most of them are. And as a company, how can we serve them? What are things that we could do to do that? So that's the approach that we're taking. One other thing I'll note is, it is the new year. And I know people are constantly searching for positive news. And I love that. And you both know, I'm hyper positive. I'm overly optimistic. But at the same time, I think it's our responsibility to be pragmatic and to really look at the data and say, this is going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year if we understand where we are today and we come up with solutions to meet the current market demands.
One of the things, I don't know what you feel about this, but certainly the pandemic has increased companies of all types to go digital, which has been great. Just even a simple thing as everybody now calls video phone conferences, video calls. Everybody's got a version of how they've moved and made an investment in that area. And as a result, it seems as though companies have increased their value. Companies have gone out to raise money to do another version of this, another version of that. And so there seems to have been this kind of bubble where, anybody that's got money to invest has seen fitness and tech as being a great place to make money. But it also seems to have created maybe an oversaturation of very similar products doing very, very similar things with very, very high valuations. And then when you look at the sales curve, which ultimately you've got to start selling product to pay off the debt at some point, the customers are just not there for 2 reasons. One is they've probably gone back to slightly different patterns, and secondly, there is just so much competition in that space. Question on that then, do you see that there's going to have to be some fallout to balance the supply and demand? And then 2, what kind of areas do you see that are going to win when we do come out of this? Who are going to be the ones that will sort of stay?
Yeah. Well, okay, you give me a lot to unpack there. So let me break this up into 3 to 4 parts. First, you might have heard the term pull forward. So when the pandemic happened and you looked at brands like Peloton and other digital brands really increasing value in subscribers and also their valuation, we looked at a term called pull forward demand. And what that means is people that were already going to purchase a Peloton bike or a connected product just simply accelerated that purchase decision. So instead of saying, I'm going to wait for a year, I'm going to wait for 2 years, I'm going to buy it now, right? So you have to think about how many consumers, how big is that market, and how many consumers have already bought the product, and that's it, you've already hit it. That's the first one. And for some reason, we tend to forget that the pandemic pulled forward that demand by about 5 years. So if you think about
5 years.
About 5 years.
Wow.
So if you think about Peloton's growth, and you look at what they've done, or all connected brands, but you average that out from 2020 to 2025, now it seems like reasonable, sustainable growth. That's the real number you need to look at. So I think it's going to take them a long time to add additional growth because they pulled forward that demand. That's one. The second is valuations. Valuations went through the roof for a lot of reasons, largely driven by investors. Whenever new investors come in, they want to be part of a bigger company, be part of a bigger round. They're going to go for a high valuation. Money was also more widely available. That's now dried up. So what's happened, you're seeing a lot of companies come to down rounds and investors pushing companies, to your point, Matthew, to now being profitable, saying, I'm not willing to spend $1,000 to acquire a customer. You got to remember, most connected brands, the cost of acquisition was between $800 to $1,500 in some cases. You know, Hydra was approaching $1,400 per connected grower. That's not a business. And I'll also add, we've seen this in markets outside of fitness. Salesforce recently mentioned that their time to return on a customer was about 3 years. And that was great. But it went from 3 to 7 to 11 years. So Salesforce recognized and said, you know what? That's a problem. So what are we going to do? We're going to cut back. We're going to lower our expenses. And that's the smart decision. That's what's happening here in fitness as well. We're cutting back, we're lowering our expenses, and we're focusing on the customers that we do have. And then the last part is around, where do I see connected fitness going? Look, I think technology has really changed fitness in general. So I'm really looking at things like AI, okay? I don't know how familiar you are with ChatGPT as an example.
Looking into it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, to me, yes, you've got the hybrid. You need to be digital. You have to have a digital presence. You've got to meet the consumers where they are. That's table stakes. So I think you've got to be doing that in some capacity, because if not, you're going to be ignoring a large part of your customer base, or you're going to be turning away customers. So I think you've got to have a digital strategy, and it's got to be a relatively decent one. But how much you invest in it's going to depend on the size and scale of your company, and also the type of product and consumers that you have. But looking ahead, right, I really think that AI is going to be a big differentiator in the next 3, 5, 10 years. Why? Because let's take a simple challenge of personal trainers, right? You were in that space, you work with personal trainers. One thing the pandemic did is it unfortunately pushed a lot of them out to go to other businesses. When you speak to a lot of gyms today, they're struggling in bringing those trainers back, right? And not only that, but like how many great trainers are there, and they're in really high demand. So I think there's a potential for AI, potentially, again, never going to replace personal trainers, but a potential for them to be that middle ground. So I'm excited to see some innovations happening there, and I think in 2023, we're going to see a lot of innovative solutions that are really, focused on AI in fitness.
Right. Have you seen anything here then that's sort of got your attention?
Yeah, I mean, so even just, you look at the people we had yesterday, we might have had 15 to 20 companies there, and 4 to 5 of them were purely on AI vision. So I think that there's been, I think you guys spoke to some of them, there's been a lot of innovation. I think the technology's now come to a point with AI vision where you might really see meaningful application. Everything else is a little bit gimmicky, right? Yeah. Something else that I saw a lot here is the metaverse. We talked about the metaverse on the podcast. I still think people on the metaverse side, and I think there'll be great applications for productivity, for work maybe, healthcare, using the metaverse. But frankly, I really haven't seen really strong fitness applications here with the metaverse. So we haven't seen that. The other thing that's noticeable at CES this year compared to years past is, like last year, for instance, you had a lot of connected brands presenting here. Yes. They were here. Yes. You had Peloton, you had Hydro, Echelon, Climber. There were a lot of them that were here. There's nobody here. No.
Why do you think that is then?
Well, I think it's one, because what we talked about is their investors are saying, how are we going to spend our money? And it's not going to be here. And second, it's this pull forward of demand. The brands are like, well, what are we to gain if we were to come here? And I think finally is, they have nothing new to show. No. Right? No. When you look at the purpose of being at CES is to launch new product, and you look at the connected space, the fitness space today, a lot of the big brands really haven't innovated, anything of true significance that is meaningful. So I think that's largely due to that.
I think it's an interesting crowd here too, because if you think about what is the footfall for your booth,
Yes.
you've got to be a technology person to even get into the show. So it's
right.
not like you're even going to a trade
Yes.
show. So a lot of our market can't even get here as well. So I think that's contributing to it as well. So 3 years. What are you working on in 3 years?
Yeah, so I think for us in 3 years is really the intersection between wellness and healthcare. So we're working on a couple of big initiatives right now, and this is something that's been a passion of mine since I started Sweatworks 10 years ago, is really tying these two big sides together. We've got an incredible healthcare system here in the US, right? It's the best in the world, but it's also one of the least accessible and the most expensive. And then we've got some of the best wellness and fitness brands in the world happening here. The two don't really talk to each other, but finally now, the two are talking to each other. They're sharing data, they're sharing access, we're building platforms together. For instance, we worked on a project with Apple Fitness Plus. They just announced for Medicare and Medicaid members, free Apple Fitness Plus for 90 days that you could renew continuously.
Right.
That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
That is now saying that if you are on a program and you want access to high quality digital content, you can get it. That's step one. So I think in 3 to 5 years, we're really going to see both of our industries working together, focused on prevention, because I think the healthcare industry knows that for them to move quickly on prevention with all the regulations takes a really, really long time. We could move a lot more quickly. So why not partner up together and share data across each other?
Right.
Wonderful. Well, we could talk for ages, Mo, but I think we're going to have to leave it there. So thank you for coming over this morning. And
thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll see you around soon.
All right.
Cheers, Mo.
Thank you.
Amazing
All right, Emma,
insights.
you got it.
Amazing insights. Thank you.
Well, I didn't expect I'd be standing at the next to a toilet at the CES event. I'm sure you didn't either, did you?
Me neither. When I came to Withings, actually, like 2 years ago, I didn't expect to work on urine. But yeah, this happened. So yeah, it's really interesting because urine is actually the perfect witness of your health because it comes from the filtration of your blood, and there is like more than 3,000 metabolites into the urine. So it's really a perfect witness of your health. And that's why we choose to focus on urine because it's really underexploited. Because on average, a human go to like 7 times a day to the bathroom, but we only perform urine analysis like maximum once per year. So that's why we have made the iTOUCH. So iTOUCH is a modular platform composed by a reader and a versatile cartridge system. So we can address different use cases. So the reader will fit into any toilet bowl, like you can see behind me. And we will automatically collect your urine and actually test it depending of the cartridge you have. So we are actually launching the product with 2 consumer health cartridges in Europe only for now, end of Q2 this year. So the first one is NutriBalance. It's a detailed metabolic guide for nutrition and hydration. And the second one is CycleSync. It's a tool for women to experience the cycle in a more positive way.
That's wonderful. And then how long do these last for?
Yeah, so a cartridge will be supporting you on a daily basis up to 3 months of testing. Okay. And it's actually matching the battery life of the reader, that is also 3 months. So you only have to take it off once every 3 months. Yes.
Okay, that's great. And then this feeds information to your app, is that correct?
Yeah, so all the Withings products are working with Withings app, and we are directly transfer the data by Wi-Fi to your app. And you can also like transfer your data to your doctor or anyone you want.
And then what do we do with that data? So measuring it's one thing, but then what do I do about what I find?
It's why with any cartridge you are going to purchase, we also provide to the user 3 months of in-app guidance, so you understand why to test, what to test, and understand how you can improve actually your measurements. So it's really interesting. For example, if I say to you, yes, I'm going to test your specific gravity, what is specific gravity? And specific gravity is a biomarker that is included in the NutriBalance cartridge, and it's actually really linked to your level of hydration. So we are going to explain everything in the app and give you tips to improve actually this measurement and improve your hydration and the sanity.
Okay. How does it factor in when you take supplements, for example, and things like that? And often you might, you'll go to the bathroom, and obviously there's a lot of supplements that move through you. How does it factor in those things?
Actually, it's also very interesting to follow what impact your supplements have on your urine.
How much is being held in the body and how much is...
Yeah, for example, like something that is not really known is that, for example, vitamin C, and this is a measurement we have with NutriBalance. Everyone knows that we need vitamin C on our body, but some people might take too much vitamin C, and it's actually a risk, and it's increasing the risk of kidney stones, for example. So you have to have vitamin C, but you don't have to have it too much.
What are some of the key measurements or key things that you're measuring with this, the main ones?
So NutriBalance, you will be able to follow 4 biomarkers. So ketones to understand your energy metabolism, vitamin C, so I told about it, specific gravity for monitoring hydration, and also pH for your acid-base balance.
Right.
And in CycleSync, you refine again the pH for acid-base balance and the specific gravity for monitoring hydration, but you will also find luteinizing hormone test to know exactly when you are ovulating.
Yes. And then how does that measure the whole cycle, and then there are some actions that women can take, or just is it knowing? Is it just knowing where you are in the cycle?
It's knowing when you are on the cycle with accuracy, and also adapt actually your daily life to what phase you are on your cycle. So, for example, during the first phase of your cycle, so the follicular phase, you might feel like more energized and wanted to conquer the world and do a lot of things. While on the second phase, you might feel a little bit more down. And we are, with the in-app guidance, we are going to help the women to understand this change of mood and the symptoms, and accompany them through their cycle.
How predictive is urine for things more serious in nature? So you need to see a doctor.
Yeah. So for now, the 2 cartridges I introduced to you are wellness cartridge, but we are also launching a more concept that is called the For Professionals cartridge. It's making available the technology for any medical partners that want to co-create a cartridge with us for a specific use. For example, clinical research, clinical studies, remote patient monitoring.
Right, that sounds great. And I guess where I'm going with this is I need to know that I have the right cartridge in at the right time to be measuring what's important to me. So I guess there's enough indicators for me to know that, oh goodness, I might need to check with perhaps the more medical cartridge or something like that in time.
Yeah, and we are also going to provide, once you have your starter kit, you will be able also to have a subscription. So we are going to refill and give you another cartridge anytime you need.
Okay, so it's a subscription-based, app-based, 3-month turnover cartridge system.
Exactly.
With real-life behaviours that can be modified based on what you're finding in the data.
Exactly, yes.
And does it have to be like one toilet per person, or like, I guess, how do you sort of figure out the cartridges, where do they go?
Yeah, so if there is more persons than one that are using the device, because it's mono user.
So where does it go? Does it go into the toilet itself?
Yeah, it goes into
like the cleaner, like the cleaning.
Yeah, actually it's really simple to install. You just have to install like this in your toilet, and once installed, you don't have to do anything, and it's going to automatically measure your urine, and only your urine, because we have a feature that is called Stream ID, and it's going to recognize actually the person that is using the product, and only collect the urine when it's you.
Interesting.
And are you looking at a lot of the things we're seeing at the show here is not just doing one thing, but being able to do more things. Yeah. Things like, I think we were in, it was either Amazon or Samsung, one of the houses, and one of the smart, let's have a look, it was the AC machine also showed artwork, for example, 2 ideas. Would you look at partnering with a business that could also use this as the cleaning aspect for the toilet as well as being a monitoring, like just as an example? Are those sorts of partnerships you'd look at doing in the future?
Yeah, for now we want to focus on health and how to accompany people in monitoring their health in a daily basis.
Yeah.
We offer really a large range of products at Withings with smart scales, smartwatches, sleep analyzer, blood pressure monitor.
Right, so lots of devices.
Yeah, lots of devices, but they are all connected to one app.
Okay.
So they are all working together to improve actually your
Oh,
health.
that's great. And what's the cost?
So we have a starter kit.
Yes.
That includes a reader, a cartridge, and 3 months in-app guidance for $500.
Okay, $500. Great.
And is there a subscription on that?
And after that, you will be able to have a subscription to get automatically refill of your cartridge
Right.
and in-app guidance.
Very cool. Well, look, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Great presentation. It's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we've got Sarah with a H.
Yes, absolutely. Sarah with an H.
You look very calm and relaxed.
I use my product, right? This is mental fitness that's powered by your body's electricity. And so digital drugs essentially to downshift the nervous system.
So, where did this idea start from? Was it some kind of like crazy weekend at a festival or something? You know, it's not the sort of thing that I would imagine how you even start that thought process. So tell us a little bit about where this came from.
Yeah, something that evolved over the period of a decade. So I was a former TV journalist, covered a lot of trauma, and developed Healium for me as well as the millions of other people who struggle with anxiety or insomnia. And we were giving virtual tours to a group of terminally ill and aging World War II vets who weren't able to physically see their memorials in Washington, D.C. So in the VR goggles, they would put on the goggles and they could see their memorials. And what we noticed through that process was VR was impacting their physiology. They weren't just watching these Healium experiences, they were feeling them. And so teamed up with neurofeedback specialists, counseling psychologists, got clinical validation and trials, and here we are with digital drugs for rest and recovery, anxiety and sleep.
What kind of team did you have to put together, and how did you go about finding the people to do this? Because your colleague was telling me about these sort of this forest, and you're telling me about triple rainbows, which I'm really excited to find out what they are. But the whole graphics and images, it seems that there's a lot of different skills coming together to be able to put that.
Absolutely. So if a storyteller, a game engine designer, a neurofeedback specialist, and a biodata person walked into a bar together, they would create that content. And it does require engineering skills, psychology skills, which we love about it because it's a master collaboration. And so, in our offices, it's a nerdy play date with a lot of people with different skill sets, from visual storytellers to individuals who create the algorithms that were then rewarding in our experiences.
And did they walk into a bar one day, or?
No,
She invited them to a bar one day.
Absolutely, yeah. And they didn't, they had digiceuticals is what we call them. They're drugless drugs, not a replacement for pharmaceutical medication or psychotropic medication or professional counseling, because we know that's one of the best things that we can do for ourselves. But not everyone is willing or has the means to see a counselor. And so, these are just small things that you can do for yourself in the privacy of your own home to become more self-aware of your brain patterns and your heart rate, and discover that your thoughts do have power to control things not only in the virtual world, but in the real world as well.
Right. So you're a storyteller by trade, and then you took that into the visual realm, but you didn't stop there. You were just telling us that you've also bought olfactory, you bought the sense of smell as well. Tell us about that.
So we like to collaborate with different wearable companies, because anything that captures data as a wearable can be integrated into Healium. We're hardware agnostic. All these things we have on our wrists, on our heads, we can use it to make the data more spatial. And so OVR technology is one of those companies that we love to collaborate with. So they've enabled our stories that you're able to be inside immersive environments, or even just on your mobile device and smell the media. And what we found through brain maps is that aroma penetrates the brain far more deeply than anything. I mean, think of smelling salts, right? But, going into these experiences, like one Healium experience, you're in a cave and it smells like a dirt. And then you go out into the open air and you smell the open air. You have another experience where you're going through tulips and then it transitions to poppies. So, there's great opportunities with scent as well. And collaborating with companies like OBR Technologies. Apple Watch, we use Apple Watch to integrate in heart rate. In the future, we would love the Fitbits, R-Rings, the Whoop Bands of the world, because each wearable that we add to Healium ensures that user has the ability to see their data spatially and not just track it as a flat number on their wrist, but actually interact with it and see their own stress, their own heart rate, their own brain patterns personified in an immersive way.
Right. So we've done a lot of the show, and I went on the Metaverse tour yesterday, and it's still very fragmented. It's coming together. Where does this end for you? Like, this is the beginning, and what an amazing start. I mean, we're very much looking forward to this experience shortly. Where do you see yourself in a few years? Like, how close to reality, or is that even what we're going for in terms of healing? Where do you see this going?
So I see media, just as the ability we can consume media that increases our heart rate or makes us anxious when we're reading that in our media feeds. But it's the same thing with healing media. We can have negative fiber for our media diet or a digital diet, and then we have positive fiber, and that positive fiber is Healium. And so to your question about where is this going with the metaverse, I think we'll see the line between 2D, augmented reality, and virtual reality blur, much as we did with still photos and moving images, that now it's just media. And when you see it in a still image that comes up, you're not like, oh, that's a still image and that's a moving image. It's the same with immersive media. You're already seeing pass-through cameras inside the headsets that are blurring that line. And that's the reason why we, as a technology company, are being ambidextrous in both of those places to create content either in augmented reality, just with a mobile device that doesn't require goggles, or in virtual reality that's fully immersive.
Where do you see this, some of the main markets that this would be targeting for?
So we sell into areas of acute situational or confined stress. That could be an elite athlete that knows that they need to downshift their nervous system, and when they do that, that improves their working memory, which reduces the likelihood of errors. They're on the road and they have difficulty sleeping, but yet they can't take a pharmaceutical intervention. This is a drugless, non-harmful coping mechanism that allows them to, in a non-harmful way, relax. Healthcare institutions are using Healium for their frontline healthcare workers for burnout and compassion fatigue. The military is using Healium. A lot of those soldiers or airmen don't have access to nature for months and months. Healium is virtual nature that they can escape. Schools are using Healium to quickly, interrupt that stress response. Imagine the ability to flip a switch and suddenly that a teenager is able to immerse themselves in a crystal forest. And it's just tricking the brain into thinking that you're not in that stressful situation, closing out the real world and immersing you into something beautiful.
Right. You mentioned that there's some different products. There's the sleep. Talk us through the different
applications, I guess.
The different sections.
So our first drugs were Healium, which is for the self-management of stress, and we import EEG brain patterns via an EEG meditation headband, and you're able to see those brain waves live streamed inside the environment. In augmented reality, we can integrate an Apple Watch and you're able to see your heart rate. So that's Healium. And Healium is training, mental fitness training, much as you would work out your body. This is working out your mind and becoming more self-aware of your emotions. Again, not diagnostic. It's not going to tell you whether you're a positive or negative person, or whether you have anxiety or depression, it's an exercise and a practice. Neuromeditation is another way to describe Healium. We also have Sleepium, and again, these are digital pseuticals, not a replacement for medication or professional counseling. But with Sleepium, this is much as you would imagine a beach before you go to sleep. We can put you in the beach, and it's reinventing the bedtime story, really, in that the content is viewed in a reclined position, and you are able to, the brain is believing what it sees. So those are our first two drugs. We have more drugs that are coming out in the future that do different things, but essentially we're using media and your biometric data to allow you to become more self-aware and to train for your mental.
And you're not going to tell us what those drugs are you?
No.
She's like, she's containing the story. She's going to break the story when she's good and ready.
But you think of all the different feelings that you want to feel, and it's not just elite athletes, but worker athletes, tactical athletes. Nurses are absolutely an athlete. Like what they are going through, we can't fathom, and the need to have their minds and their bodies in a place, absolutely. And in a way, it's mental health armor, much as an athlete would have armor on their body. What is there for the mind? And can we get in practices that allow us to build that stress resilience in a way that allows them to learn to self-regulate?
Right. And the tricking of the mind, are you seeing that it's the addition of something that enables more sense of peace, or is it the taking away of something? Which way, or is it a combination of both?
So we found it interesting to do EEG brain maps on the content to see how different content impacts different brain patterns and heart rate. And so what are the colors, the textures, the shape, or the volume of these stories that do different things? And the answer to that is complicated because not everyone's mind is the same. And we have emotional attachments to sunflowers. Some people might not like sunflowers.
Allergic or whatever, yeah.
Absolutely. And so, there's a little bit of that, but we are quickly gaining learnings as it relates to, what those colors, textures, shape, and volumes look like. But you can absolutely see in these experiences with a full 24 sensor EEG cap. And I should tell you that I'm the technologist, I'm not the scientist. So Dr. Tarrant, my co-founder, look up his work at the Neuromeditation Institute. When you do those brain maps, you can see the high beta activity or the fast activity in the brain instantly shift. Much as you would put someone in a warm bath, or as if they took a walk in the park, right? But not everyone in the heat of the moment can be like, I'm gonna take a bath, or I'm gonna go take a walk. And this is just a way to vroom, quickly downshift in an acute way.
Right. So at the moment, you've got pre-created content, correct? And then people essentially are choosing a journey through that, right, in order to, is that right? Or will you get to a point where real-time feedback will dictate how dense, how much, what color?
Yeah, we're already doing that with generative AI. Right. And so much as you would have a text-based word that generates a 2D asset, Healium turns that on its head, and we've been doing that for years. We didn't call it generative AI, but we use biometric data paired with our proprietary technology, and you can turn your bio data into a 3D asset. So, for instance, there's a stress animal, a jaguar, and it starts in a pounce position or an agitated position. And as you soften your mind, that jaguar will also soften and react to those biometrics, and it will also change its position and heart rate. We have an experience that hasn't been released yet, but it's a magic wand. And so according to those stress levels, it can either spawn a bird, a penguin, a spirit animal, whatever. And that's what we're getting to with pairing biodata with your stories. It's the future of storytelling, really.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Is it for more of a commercial application? So you're going in, as you say, to schools and hospitals, etc., or is there consumer versions as
Absolutely. And the line between B2B and B2C in the post-pandemic world, it's blurred, right? What is enterprises? Enterprises are a collection of people in their homes. So we sell to both. You might think of Healium as B2B2C in that we sell into enterprises and we see that consumer engagement at the enterprise level. And then they're able to get Healium for home use. So they can go to our website, tryhealium.com. They can get a subscription to our app. We're on all the app stores, iOS and Android. Start there, subscribe, and then that login that you create on your mobile device, you can use in your virtual reality headset, like a Quest 2 or a Pico, something like that.
Fantastic. Well, let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's give it a go. As it happens, Matt and I are here with the man. We've got Blaise, who's like king of partnerships. So tell us, what are you up to? Like, little boy from Queens, come on now.
Well, first I want to say it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, Matt and Emma. We're here in Vegas, but working with different brands, it's very fun. I wish you guys could see my house. I have all kind of fitness machines. I have a Helix machine that works on lateral movement, speed fitness, as you guys know, my boy Chris Miner works with. That company is revolutionary. But just growing up playing sports and now being a grown-up and having to stay in shape and doing fitness influencing, it's a dream come true, honestly.
Right, so what are some of the brands you're working with right now? So you've sold products, you work with different companies.
Puma is a longtime partner that I've been working with. I love working with those guys. I just did a deal with Saks Fifth Avenue to become their Saks man. So that was really
So just
cool.
little brands, little brands we never heard of. Oh my goodness.
You know, Banana Republic, Body Armor Sports Drink was a company that I helped start 10 years ago and grew that in Queens. And we sold that to Coca-Cola.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, but...
How did you start that? What got you to start Body Armor?
So when I was in high school, I got a chance to meet the founder of Vitamin Water, and they took the basketball team over, and all my teammates were sleeping because they didn't care about the guy, and I thought he was very fascinating. So I got his number and built a relationship, and when I was getting out of college, he was starting Body Armor. So it was only about like 10 people involved, so I was able to get in early and get equity and really learn how to grow a business.
Yeah. So what did your team members think after that?
It's crazy. Even throughout when it was growing, I was still like offering a lot of people, hey, do you want to come on board? And, giving out samples in Queens and Brooklyn. People used to be like, get this garbage out of here. And
they're not saying that now.
Oh, no. Now they're like, I love this brand. You know how it goes.
So how much did they sell that little kind of drinks company for?
It was only like $8 billion. It wasn't too much, But I got to thank my guy, Mike Rapoli. He's Italian. He's my Italian uncle from Queens, and he's been great. He really knows how to build brands. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do next. I can't wait to get on board, Mike.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing? We're at one of the most, I guess, innovative industries at the moment, technology and fitness and health and wellness. As someone that's pretty well connected in that space, what are some of the things that you're looking at and why?
Virtual reality is something that I couldn't even fathom growing up as a kid, and to have brands like Healium that helps you sleep better, and we all know how important mental health and mental fitness is. So to see things like that is so fast forward, and it almost feels like it's like ahead of its time, which is perfect because when we came out with the sports drink Body Armor, we were ahead of our time, and people had to catch up. And I feel like this is the same with Healium. Consumers aren't ready for this, but it's good to be out there early because they'll eventually catch on. But virtual reality, things that's different, it's definitely catching my eye out here in Vegas.
So you've got a ridiculous amount of followers. What am I hearing? 3.5 million or something?
I think we're at only 3.5.
Oh, 3.5.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some work to do. You've got to go and get busy. But it sounds like you're doing more than just influencing, more than just vlogging products. It sounds like you're involved in the innovation of them. Is that so?
Totally. I love brand building.
Okay.
Yeah, I love to take a company that no one knows and pump it and grow it. And then to have people say, oh, I love this company. You know, I really get off to things like that, to going from unknown to known. And now living in California, I get to work with brands like Aloe. I forgot to mention Aloe's a big fitness brand that does yoga. Kylie Jenner was actually in it the other day, and you guys know how big she is.
Aloe.
Is that Aloe?
It's Aloe.
You see, guys? Come on.
Because of his work.
That's super dope.
When you're looking at products, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and the majority of new products and ideas fail.
Yeah.
You've picked a few winners. What do you look for in a product that you feel is going to make it and be successful?
I think the first thing is the team. I think like the leader is very important. Not to keep going back to body armor, when we first started it, the taste was horrible, and we had to reformulate it a few times. But we believed in the leader, Mike Rapoli. We knew he was going to get it right. So I think the first step is having that great leader, and then just the vision and the product, almost like the functionality of it and how easy it is for users to interact with it is important. You guys got to come to my house in LA and see all these products I have.
We do.
I'm just trying things out all day long, but things that push me and are forward thinking is definitely what I look for.
Tell us about some failures. What have you thought would be a great thing and perhaps didn't go as well?
That is a really good, really good. Something that didn't work.
Oh, you just got that Midas touch.
Yeah, don't tell us. Don't tell us.
I mean,
Never.
I definitely know how to pick them and know which ones, and I'm vetting out them all day long. But it's that leader, though. If you have that leader and that team, that's like the most important, because you could always change things up and fix things up, but leadership is
and you've obviously
far.
got a good eye for brand, and also being an athlete yourself, you understand the body, so you're not going to go for something that's like, no one's ever gonna, that doesn't work,
Exactly.
Right? So you've kind of got both.
Definitely, and also there's times where people will be like, nah, but it is good too. So you gotta push through, not let people like trick you out of a great product. So just having that eye for it. But Healium is something that I love, because I do virtual reality workouts, and I actually didn't even sleep last night. I was so anxious to be here. I stayed up the whole night, just I'm on the couch, just like ready to be here. And I think like Healium would have helped me out. I definitely would have threw that on and kind of relaxed me a little bit, the anxiety.
That's great.
So with all the stuff you got at home in your home gym and stuff, like at the moment, what's the thing that's kind of got your attention that you're enjoying experimenting with, without sort of upsetting a lot of your partners that are, why didn't you say that one?
Nah, I'll be honest. We got bikes, we got climbing machines, we got the boxing. I'm probably gonna have to say the light box or the boxing, because I'm really into boxing, and the way that they're changing it up, because they had a machine and that was really cool, and then they went to the VR, and now they're doing total body workouts in the machine. So
what's that product called?
A light boxer.
Light boxer.
Yeah.
They're in the metaverse, and they have a physical product.
Yeah, that one is they're good. But Speed's not out yet, and that's the one me and Chris Miner are invested in. That one, I like to lift and work out, and that one really pushes you. So when that one drops, I think that one could take the #1 spot. But Light Boxer definitely has it right now.
So in terms of investing, do you go to pitch competitions? Do people approach you? Like, how does that flow happen?
Yeah, I go to pitch competitions, but I'm honestly online all day, and I'm searching companies all day long, because it's a numbers game. I used to reach out to like 200 companies a day, trying to work with them, and then now it's reversed. Now companies are hitting me up. But I still do my research. I'm still looking and looking to develop companies. So
and then how early do you get involved? Like Genesis, or just a little bit proving it out?
A little bit proving it out, yeah.
Market match,
Yeah, because I'm not a chemist or anything, or know how to, but I love to see a product that has good potential and push that You know,
Fantastic. Well, look, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
thank you,
All right.
Emma.
Let's check
Lovely.
out the
Come on,
home gym.
guys.
We need to come and see your home gym.
Please,
Yeah.
LA, definitely.
Where are you in LA?
I'm in Hollywood.
Hollywood, of course you're in
And you
Hollywood.
in LA as well.
Yeah, I'm in Redondo. He's in Newport, so we're close. We're close. We'll come see
Let's
you.
make it happen.
Come on, guys.
Come on now. Yay. So, Lindsay, this is a fascinating concept.
Yes.
Why don't you unpack this for us? What are we looking at, and what do we get from your whole ecosystem, I guess?
Absolutely. So we have a product called Ndaw, and what it is, it takes a 30-second video selfie of your face, and it captures the facial blood flow data. And what we're able to discern from that is over 30 health and wellness vital signs. So we can take your blood pressure, your heart rate, your risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease risk, and many, many more, purely from a contactless video selfie.
Great. So these are leaning into medical. So I presume
Yeah.
this has application, I guess, from remote monitoring. Like, is it a doctor use case, or who's your customer here?
Exactly. So we operate in a number of different verticals. So remote patient monitoring and telemedicine are definitely our top two. We also operate in corporate wellness. So corporations will purchase this for their employees. As an added value, we care about you. Here's this application. We also operate in the insurance industry. Automotive, consumer goods, anything you can think of, we're likely there somehow. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, we notice you have got a lot of regulations and a lot of businesses that you've actually got in behind you. How long have you been going, and how have you managed to do that? Because a lot of these things are very difficult. We're in very private times where, you're managing a lot of data. How have you managed to get through all of that? HIPAA compliant, all of those things.
Yeah, so we started in 2015, and we're a Toronto-based company, so we're operating out of Canada, and it actually began as a research project out of the University of Toronto, out of Dr. King Lee. He's a developmental psychologist, his laboratory. So it was actually, the company was co-founded by himself and Marzio Pizzoli, who's an electrical engineer and an entrepreneur out of Toronto as well. So you can imagine the sparks that would fly when these two minds got together and collaborated. And so, in terms of the regulatory aspects, so, for us, it's always been important, we are compliant with security regulations, privacy regulations. So for us, we're not selling any of the data or sharing the data or even storing it. So that's something that's very important to us as a company. Yeah.
What's the technology that's able to capture that? Is it a special camera? Is it some special software that works behind the camera? Explain a little bit about how that works.
Definitely. So we use a process called transdermal optical imaging.
So glad we asked. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. So we use a process called transdermal optical imaging, and it's called TOI for short. And it's something we actually created. So it's one of our patents that we have as well. But so what it is we actually capture the facial blood flow patterns under the skin, and then we apply machine learning and AI algorithms. So we've actually trained our data sets on over 35,000 models. So people of all ages, demographics, and this is what we use as the basis of this technology. So that's the short and sweet. The short and sweet.
How accurate is it? Like I've just sat in front of that screen there. Is it what's the level of accuracy that they can use just from the picture?
So it's very accurate. So we actually, since it began out of university, we actually have 11 to 12 clinical trials and peer-reviewed research publications. So we're published in the American Heart Association, many journals like that, where we've actually run trials where we've compared, this percentage of patients in a clinic, we strap them with a blood pressure cuff, and we compare that to this technology. And, like 90-95% accuracy, I believe. But so yeah, very accurate, yeah.
And can you do it off your phone as well? Or do you have to sit down with one of your machines?
You can. So that's the best part about this is it is device agnostic. So it's really usable on anything with a camera. So any sort of iPhone, Android, iPad, laptop. Some companies have a kiosk that they set up in different regions of the world. So anything with a camera. You don't need a special device whatsoever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the key metrics that you're getting are what? Just run over those again for us.
For sure. Yeah. So there's over 30 of them. So breathing, heart rate, blood pressure,
different physiological signs, risk of type 2 diabetes, risk of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, high cholesterol, many different things. Yeah. So
it's amazing. Just from taking a picture, you wouldn't have thought that you could get that amount of information.
Yeah.
Is there any other companies doing this out there at the moment?
For sure, yeah. So there's many companies doing vital signs and doing facial scan technology. For us, what sets us apart from those competitors is we have quite a few research publications, and we have the data to back it up. And we also have 11 U.S. patents as well. So everything we do is ours, and we've created it. So yeah. That's the speech I give. So yeah.
How much does it cost if you want to do this? Is it a subscription thing you do? Is it a one-off cost?
Yeah, so we do have a free app in the App Store, but it's a restricted version of the full measurements that you're seeing here at the show. And it's really just our business card, or it's kind of our demonstration of how we show people what we do. It creates some excitement, it creates some hype. But we do sell B2B, so we sell the technology to companies, and usually they white label it, or they'll purchase an SDK, and they can integrate it into their own platforms or their own technology. So for the pricing, it really depends on how many measurements you want, how many scans you're doing. If you want, there's different indicators, but our sales team would definitely be able to give you a better picture.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what's your big dream? What is the big dream for the business in the long term?
Yeah, well, for us, we focus a lot on health equity. So, we have one customer in Africa and Nigeria where there's a shortage of doctors in the region, or there's just not a lot of medical staff, and so they've actually installed kiosks in different areas, and so users can just go up, have a quick health check, and it gives them a picture. It's important too. We're not a diagnostic tool, so we're not telling you, okay, you have these 3 conditions based on this selfie. It's more for general awareness, and so it's telling you, okay, you're more at risk of this. You might want to keep an eye on it. You might want to talk to your doctor. So, yeah.
That's great.
Fantastic. Well, it's very impressive. Thanks very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Joe, well, you impressed us by the jelly beans when we came in.
Okay, well, I'm glad you liked it.
I thought you were a jelly bean company, but you're not. You do something different.
Right, exactly different.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, completely different. We're introducing our platform Casual. Now, in Korean, the Jil means enjoyable, right? So basically it means best have enjoyment in healthcare, right? So we're trying to bring up the light and kind of mood up so that users don't feel that healthcare is kind of serious or burdensome. Now, the service that we're trying to provide is that we gather genome tests and medical information and life log and the survey information, and we mingle it all together. We do the analytics, and we provide the recommendation to users for health supplements, healthy food, lifestyle goods and services, mental care. Now that's another service, and other goods and services too. So this integration between the goods and services within our app, we are always open to the new collaborations and everything.
Right. So when you're doing some of it, I noticed you've got like a DNA testing.
Right.
So is that something people will send to you, and then you send them back recommendations on their health? To explain how that process works.
Okay, so for the genome tests, we work with a company called Teragen Health. Now that's the number 1 in Korea, and we just acquired the company. We invested about 25 million just to buy that company, and we're working very close together. So basically, how it works is that once the user wants to get their test done, we send out the kits and we get it received, and we do a week of analytics, and all the informations and all the health reports, they can see it on the Casual app. So it's all in the under the same user flow.
Right. And is this something you're just doing in Korea at the moment, or are you doing it in the US?
Well, we're a Korea-based company. We're quite big in Korea, but not very well known globally. But the Korea is our first market, but we're trying to go global in the year 2004 and on. We haven't decided which country to go in first, but it could probably be US or Japan.
Right. And what is it that you're doing here today?
Well, it's almost like saying out loud that we're here because we're very new. We're just established last April 1st.
Wow.
And it took us less than a year to build it. And we just want the world to know that, Lotte Healthcare is doing the business, and that platform is called Casual. And this is a perfect solution for personalizing your healthcare,
Right.
health habits.
Yes.
What would you say is the direction in terms of testing, like DNA testing? I know there's lots of different people doing it and different degrees of quality in testing. What's the standard at the moment, and where do you see some of this testing going? Because I was looking on there, and there's like being able to tell how long you're going to live, and it seems to be you can get quite a lot of information now that is just coming out.
Right. Well, the regulation is different country by country. So in Korea, the DNA, the genome testing was only possible to get it through medical centers, right? So clinics. However, the government had changed the law, and they introduced the DTC, direct to consumer genome testing. Now there are 70 different types of indexes that we can find out through the genome test. A little bit of so for the DTC genome test, we don't really look into the medical information, such as you have 30% of the possibility in lung cancer. No, we don't do that. We can't do that because that's the medical information. But with the 70 wellness indexes, we can tell to the users that you're a night person or you're a morning person, and you're good for the muscle building. It's right fitness exercise for you, or endurance, or you should just go out and do running because you have a very good respiration and stuff like that. So it's a very light information, but it's directly attached to your ordinary lifestyle. So it's even more helpful and useful, and it's much more enjoyable to know rather than you're gonna die in 30 years.
Yeah. But it can tell you exactly when you're going to die, more or less. Is that correct?
Which day?
I hope so, but maybe a fortune teller can tell you.
No, the reason I ask is I've heard certainly in America there are now companies that are able to sort of predict pretty accurately your lifespan. Right. And I noticed it was on your board there, and I'm wondering, are some of the interventions that you're doing, do they have the ability to affect that, or is that a case of, well, that's more or less what the information we're seeing is showing us?
Well, that's a very, very good question. Now, as I said, we use the genome test as a wellness purpose. Then we have to know, some of the medical condition of the users too. Like now, the DNA, the genome, is what you're born with, but you can never know that when it's gonna really happen to you, right? So but that's why we have to know your current medical condition. Now, you guys might say, wow, in Korea, all the information is centralized into the government facility. Actually, wow. We have only one health insurance, and that's run by the government. So all the medical centers, all the clinics, all the general hospitals, they have to send our people, Korean people's medical information into the insurance company to get the reimbursement. Now, that's how we get the medical information of the users. We just extract it from the government, so-called government database, right? So from that information, what we get is 10 years of medical checkup information and 5 years of prescription data. Now, the medical checkup data, the Korean government gives out for free. They give out the medical checkup every 2 years to all population. And if you're working in a corporation like me, then you get to have it every year. Now, so we have tons of information about the medical checkup. So basically, we have all the blood test results. We have all the blood pressure and everything. All the health indexes that we need to anticipate what to expect in the future about the disease. Now, so that's how we get how we analyze the disease prediction. based on your medical information,
Okay.
not your genome test.
Okay, interesting.
Right, we could see, who do you see as your first customer? Like we could see applications for the workplace, for corporations, but also for direct to consumer. Where are you starting?
Well, first we're starting with the direct consumer, direct to consumer. B2C is our first market.
Yeah.
The reason is that if you think about trying to get healthier, what do? Do you know what to do? You're having the supplements in your house and you're eating it every day. Is it good for you? So anybody who's trying to get healthier, they don't know what to do. So that's why we're going to B2C first. If you don't know what to do to make yourself healthy, just ask casual. Just use your medical information to know about yourself first. Then try to buy the supplements or medical foods that's rightfully good for you.
Right.
So that's the main thing.
Right. Well, Matt and I both did the survey, and I came out as an eagle. What were you? Were you a gazelle?
I was a gazelle,
You was
yeah.
a gazelle. So you've got, are there 8 types? Is it it's 8, or is this more or less?
Well, that's just for fun, actually.
For fun,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We don't ask that kind of questions in our app, actually.
Oh, that was the best part.
It's a little bit serious than that.
Yeah.
But it's just for you to have fun.
Right.
So just in terms of the supplements, I can have a number of supplements available to me, which I scan each day, and it gives me what I need. Is that correct?
Yes. We have developed the dispenser. We're calling it Fill Key. Now, you can have 6 different types of cartridges, 6 different types of supplements in it, and you can have it up to 12, right? So we give you a personalized recommendation of your supplements that you should take every day, and you just tag it with your phone through the NFC, and you get what you need every day. It could be a morning or it could be an evening. And we keep track of all the logs that you have taken or not. So all the adherence could be much better than just opening up a bottle and pouring it. It's not even clean, right? So it's much better than that experience. So we do have that device ready for you too.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Congratulations. Thank you. Well, look, we're very excited to have been invited to drinks tonight, kindly hosted by Mux and Sweatworks, and we've got a very special guest. Eric, welcome along.
Thanks, Emma. Great to be here.
Great to have you here. So here we are at CES, which is obscene. It's just overwhelming, everything technology. Tell us about Mux, and then perhaps we'll share some insights that you're seeing here at CES. What's happening in technology generally?
Sure, Mux is video. Mux is a streaming video technology company. We make it easy for any company to build end-to-end video into their products. So that's live, on-demand, and real-time video, as well as deep analytics and measurement on the performance of that video. So understanding how many videos people watch, the completion rates of those videos, potentially connecting that back even to your own subscriber retention information, that sort of thing.
Right, and how do you link, because you have a relationship with Sweatworks, Mo at Sweatworks, who we're also speaking with. What's the relationship there?
Yeah, absolutely. I've known Mo for a long time, since my life before Sweatworks at Equinox and SoulCycle. And,
Hey.
and Mo is, and Sweatworks are the best firm in the business for building connected fitness products. And so that's the end-to-end experience, that it goes from registration to how to participate in a class, really the entire experience. And we make it really easy for them to make video look great in those products. I mean, we all know when you watch even the largest streaming video services at home, you get that spinning wheel sometimes. Even if you have unlimited resources, it's really hard to build a great video experience. So what we try to do is give you, it's very hard to build and make video look great because different devices, different screen sizes, different places in the world, different bandwidth available where you're watching, and making sure the right quality of video is prepared and delivered to the right screen, the right device at the right time is hard. But then also connecting that into all your workflow as a development team or as a business is very hard to do. And you see that with the commercial products that are out in the market every time you see that spinning wheel. And so what we do is make that opaque to the product companies and to the end users. When we first started working with Sweatworks, Mo said we had budgeted 60 days to integrate all the video technologies on this project we were working on together. I think this was Mix Fitness that we worked on, the first one together. And he said it took 2 days with Mux. So we had 58 days left in our budget that we didn't expect to build more features and functionality. And that was music to our ears.
Right. In terms of video, where's it going? Because I suppose you've got so much different hardware. Phones are developing, screens. What does it mean for video, and how do you think that's going to evolve? Because I can't personally imagine like where that can go unless it becomes more immersive. But maybe
I think about the trends that are happening in connected fitness today with video. It's probably two things. One is hybrid experiences. So the real-time experience where you're talking to someone like we're talking to today, being able to speak and engage with a trainer in real time in a truly personal way. Live video where you're taking a class, you're all able to participate, see your statistics at the same time. And then on-demand video, being able to really do your own workout at your own pace, perhaps in a personalized way that's tuned to your needs. So that hybrid experience we see as becoming very mainstream. And then the second thing is measurability. I mentioned that before. Being able to connect, budgets are tight out there. We're all competing for the same subscribers. People are fickle, they're changing their workouts, maybe they're not staying with the workouts. So being able to understand the retention of those customers, how many video, not just how often they come back, but do they stay till the end of a video? How engaged are they in that workout? And to map that to all of the analytics from your business as a whole, that's the next place that we can go. And so Mux and Sweatworks are working on that, trying to bring that sort of integration in terms of visibility and observability around video and the workout to our joint customers.
What's an industry, a sector, or a product that is sort of where I guess a lot of these fitness products are moving to, or is the fitness space leading the way in some of that stuff?
No, I think fitness is leading the way in a lot of ways, like sensors, measurability, tracking performance, and combining that with the rest of the experience. When we work with customers in other markets, even in well-known media and entertainment businesses, you don't see that same level of sophistication. Because in the home, you're watching TV or you're using a cooking app. The measurability of that experience, sensors, those metrics, like those don't really exist. You're not measuring your heart rate when you're watching a cooking video and how to.
You haven't seen the cooking.
So I think that's a trend that we don't see. I also think personalization of video in a really deep way is not something that we see in every industry. So for example, we have a customer in the fitness space that builds personalized workouts. So they have a giant library of kind of video at an atomic level. And then they build a workout for you on the fly based on all of that content. So that already exists, but based on where you are in your journey, they're building that for you. And I think that's very different than surfacing another Brad Pitt movie because you have watched a bunch of Brad Pitt movies before.
Is that like that? There was a movie, I can't remember what it was called, a few years ago, where you would go to certain parts of the movie and you could choose whether you want to go left or right. And
I remember that.
Is that what you?
I think that's what you're describing is kind of a choose your own adventure, like
right.
What to see next. I think there is an element of that, but it's also being really aware of the participant on their journey, like what age they are, what heart. Like when I work out, I know what heart rate for my age I'm looking to hit, and so that varies than someone else who's on their rower trying to make their Division I rowing team. Like, it's a very different sort of workout, and so that tailored experience is going to be very different.
And if I think of that from a group fitness point of view, there's a few things. First of all, you're adjusting in real time to my physiological response, right? So, oh my goodness, she needs to recover now, whatever. But then you've got music choice, and we already know if you look at people like Peloton and the rest, they're looking at how well liked songs are, how I affiliate differently with different trainers. So you give me the exact trainer, the exact song, the exact intensity, the exact length of program, the backdrop, like everything could be a variable that I fall in love with, and then that's going to stay sticky to me. Completely different to what Matt might want. Right.
I think also connectability to the other services we have is important. I think certainly the wearables, Apple Watch and other things help do that. But you may be on a hike, you may be working out at home, you may do something else different. Being able to connect all of those things together and bring that back out is certainly interesting. We work with Strava. The video experience in Strava is powered by Mux, and I'm just so impressed by how they've put themselves at the middle of that sort of experience by connecting to every third-party product that's out there. So when I'm on a home rower, that data connects back to the skiing data that just pulled off when I was skiing the next weekend.
Yeah. And that's a big trend I've seen since perhaps pre-pandemic. Now everything's a lot more agnostic. They've worked out that some are on Apple, some are on Garmin, some are on Aura, and you can't shape the consumer. The consumer's definitely shaping us sitting at the hardware and the software end now.
And I think that's one of Sweatworks' superpowers, is being able to connect all these people, these pieces together, and so, enabling them so that the video part is easy, just is always going to work great, is really important to us.
Where do you see the space? I can't help feeling that there's been a bit of overly saturated with people coming out of the pandemic, going sort of digital and building their own apps, and now there's businesses are sort of finding where they naturally sort of go to, and it seems as though some of them have been sort of fairly successful with those digital solutions. Some of them built it because it was required, because that was the only way they could interact with people, and now some of that's redundant. But there's a lot of people in there, and it seems as though it's very competitive, and there's a little bit of a fallout and a rebalancing going on. What's your perspective on that?
We saw a boom in the pandemic. A lot of things that people were trying to recapture at home. Live concerts, fitness, events of all kinds. And I think what we've seen is a return to normal in some ways, where people are still active and participating in all these products, but it's normalizing from the spike we saw in 2021.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, then please do us a favor, like, subscribe, tell somebody, and that will help us to be able to continue to do more of these and help you escape your own personal limits. Thanks for listening.